Well, I had some tree trimmers over the other day, and I just wanted to show you the kind of work they do and just show you some of the problems. I didn't get a lot of footage of them in that particular tree, but that tree was loaded with thick with dead limbs and mistletoe. Most of you know what mistletoe is, but you may not know that it can and will eventually kill a tree. This is a tree service that services my local area, and I had some issues of limbs that were hanging over those wires right there, and they had already gotten those off. I mean, the limbs were just about in the wires, and just did a great job. They really cleaned that tree out, opened it up, and that one limb down at the bottom, you see I've got a swing hanging from it. It looks kind of strange, that one limb parallel there. They clean up, they rake up, they do a beautiful job, and I highly recommend, if you're in East Texas, I don't know how far this crew travels, but I highly recommend, if you are in East Texas, that you would use these guys. But just take a look at some of the ways that they work. That big tree had a guy climb up in that thing like a cat squirrel. As you can see, this tree is leaning. Its limbs were extending over my garage there, and the tree has got a real hard lean to it, and I just wanted to take some of the weight off the right side of it that you're looking at. Take some of that weight off to encourage it not to fall down. The root ball would probably play havoc with my porch there if it were to fall. And I was getting a lot of leaves in the gutters, and for that reason I just wanted to trim most of it up. He had already taken off a few limbs. You can see the knots where they took them off. Guy climbs up in it. He's got ropes, a belt, and all this stuff. Real safe operation. And he just, man, they just climb all over that tree. I wouldn't do that for nothing. And neither should you if you don't know what you're doing, because this is a good way to get yourself hurt. But he'll climb across that limb, and he's got a guy on the ground with the rope there. You can see the rope going down to the ground there on the left. They tie it off to the limb. The guy on the left on the ground lowers the limb down, and the next guy comes and takes it over to the wood chipper. Most of you have heard about wood chipping. You know that wood chips being good for your garden and everything. Well, this is where chips come from. They grind up limbs and logs. It can be even a larger log that they'll grind up. And they did leave the wood chips for me. They dumped them on my property, so I am putting them to use. You'll see that they take real good care not to hurt the fence, the gate, things like that. Run it through the wood chipper. I don't know what size wood that wood chipper will feed, but I would think about 5 inches or more. It's a big commercial diesel-powered wood chipper. Just letting the limbs down, and really doing a good job. Staying away from my roof. Limbs not hitting the roof. The way they sling out. It's an art. The way they tie that off. And he'll look at it and then see if he thinks it's going to fall the right way. The way he ties it on that limb has to do with how it cantilevers out over the roof and stuff. And they just really know what they're doing. The guy pulls the rope taut, but he's not real satisfied with how tight that rope is. He looks at it, he taps on it, and he's telling the guy on the ground, I think, to tighten things up. He's still not satisfied. Pulls on it a couple times, says, come on, man, make this tight. He doesn't want it to hit my roof. So that guy tightens up. You can see he tightens up on the rope, even pulls the limb up just a little bit. And then this guy cuts it off, and it falls harmlessly to the ground, swings out, and down on the ground. These guys really, really know what they're doing. I can't imagine doing this for a living. Hard workers. And you talk about being out on a limb. That man is out on a limb. like I say, he's tied in. I mean, if he did fall off the limb, he's not going to hit the ground, but still. Swings out and back. Now he's getting down to the larger, the butt end of it, getting closer toward the trunk of the tree. Just taking them down just a little at a time. Most of the work was done in the big tree. This is a smaller tree that was leaning, like I say, and showed you, leaning, and therefore just needed some work done on it. It was jeopardizing my metal roof. I'd already had some limbs fall on the roof. The leaves were clogging up the gutters and such, but most of the work they did was in the big tree. It was full of dead limbs. I've had limbs for years now. I've had limbs just almost constantly falling there under that tree that I've had to pick up. So if you're in the East Texas area and you need some tree trimming done, I highly recommend these folks. I know the owner, and just some good folks. They are bonded, they clean up, they do everything that you would want them to do, and I highly recommend Wise Tree Maintenance if you're in the East Texas area. I don't know exactly how far he travels from home, but I would think if you're in the Smith County area or any of the contiguous counties to Smith County, I would think that he would come and help you out. Good folks, good prices, and I highly recommend Wise Tree Maintenance. They did a great job for me, and I do appreciate them.